flood of positive news related to coronavirus. Now, Donald Trump has very little to do with it, of course, because of his incompetence and lack of leadership in responding to the pandemic. However, we've heard from two different pharmaceutical companies, Pfizer and Moderna, that they have shown promising results for a coronavirus vaccine in their trials. So they are now applying for emergency authorization use with the FDA. And if things continue to go well with testing, vaccines could be widely available later in 2021, likely in the spring. Now, Donald Trump actually isn't happy about that. And it's not that he is concerned about getting the vaccine quickly enough so people say, we can save lives, so healthcare workers aren't worried about risking their lives as they're treating coronavirus patients. He doesn't care about any of that. What Donald Trump is upset about is that he's worried that he's not going to get the proper credit for helping to develop a vaccine. Now, my commentary on this is a little mixed. Let me give you the details. So prior to the announcement of those breakthroughs with Pfizer and Moderna, Donald Trump had brainstormed with aides and close associates about ways he could promote the vaccine to the American people. According to two individuals with direct knowledge of his private comments, the president had said he envisioned large, public, mask-free events and rallies to celebrate the success of Operation Warp Speed, the public-private partnership to develop a vaccine. So this was his plan when he assumed he was gonna get reelected. And now that he has not been reelected, he's fuming behind the scenes because once the widespread rollout of these vaccines happens in the late spring of 2021, Biden's likely to get credit for it as opposed to Donald Trump. Now, should Donald Trump get some credit for it? A little bit, and I'll explain why. But before I do, John, why don't you jump in?
Yeah, he's such an a-hole, man.
He is, he really is.
Like, yeah, we got a vaccine, everybody gather and we got a vaccine. It's like announcing the cure for cancer inside of a microwave. Free x-rays for everybody. It's just, like even on the way out, he has to be an a-hole, and I agree, deserves some small credit. Although he really needs to think this out, because not that he's gone super public saying he should get credit, there's a few tweets and stuff like that. But in like 3 months, he's gonna be tweeting constantly about how nobody should take the vaccine because it's bad and it's like something.
Gosh, you're right.
He's 100%. And Fox News, by the way, is going to be telling everyone not to take the vaccine. It's the government getting into your bloodstream and everything. So not that they have to be consistent, their followers won't remember any of this anyway, but it's sort of rich that he just, for a very brief period of time, wants credit for something he hasn't shown interest in for months and will eventually be demagoguing against.
Yeah, and he was planning on doing like these press conferences where he was going to unveil various headlines, negative headlines about his handling of coronavirus, and then he'd be like, but now there are vaccines, so like he wanted to do this whole like strike back vengeance thing, and he's upset that he's not gonna be able to do that now. But anyway, Trump has been complaining about how he's unlikely to get credit pretty openly. So here's an example of one of his tweets on this. He says, another vaccine just announced, this time by Moderna, 95% effective. For those great historians, please remember that these great discoveries, which will end the China plague, God, he's such a bad person, all took place on my watch. Okay, all right, Donnie, okay. Let's all calm down. Let's talk about the details and whether or not he deserves some credit. So much like other administrations, the federal government does provide research and development money for a lot of these pharmaceutical companies who then create various medications, drugs, pharmaceutical drugs, and then they proceed to turn around and gouge the American people. So does the government help fund the research and development of drugs and vaccines? Yes, absolutely. Did that happen in this case? Yes and no. So Pfizer actually did not take any of the federal government funding under Operation Warp Speed. They did take money from the federal government by essentially allowing the federal government to buy a large volume of doses of the vaccine, right? But in that sense, the government is essentially a consumer buying doses of the vaccine for the American people. But Pfizer did not take research and development money from Donald Trump or the Operation Warp Speed initiative. Now, Moderna did. Moderna took quite a bit of money, and I think it's relevant to mention that. So Moderna took about $1.5 billion for 100 million doses of the vaccine. But prior to developing the vaccine, they did take $1 billion in funding for the design and testing of the vaccine. And that money did come from Operation Warp Speed. So there you go, we're fair here, right? I'm gonna dunk on Donald Trump where he deserves it. And he definitely deserves it when he's being like a little baby about not getting the proper credit. But in this case, with Moderna, he did provide the funding, and I think that he deserves credit for that. But any opportunity he has to do something well, any opportunity for positive coverage of his actions, he immediately diminishes it or destroys it by acting like a complete and utter child.
Yep.
250,000 Americans are dead because of how poorly you've handled this pandemic. You should be more concerned about ensuring that you help to save people's lives, but instead he's concerned about like, I'm not gonna get to do my little party.
Yeah, and get more people sick. Yes, so with one more than the other, he deserves some sort of nominal credit. I think that the reason that he's claiming credit for both, when one was provided funding to and the other was not, is that he doesn't know and he doesn't care. He has absolutely no idea because, and this is probably gonna be a mind blower, and I don't know for sure, I'm gonna guess he had absolutely nothing to do with the funding for this. I mean, he's president technically, but I doubt he set the level. I doubt he was coordinating with them. He literally hasn't even gone to a coronavirus task force meeting in months. It happened under his watch, but did it have anything to do with him? No, it's very easy to give away other people's money, honestly. And in sort of the context of his overall approach to coronavirus, I'm not gonna work too hard to give him credit. And by the way, if he wants to get credit for the coronavirus related things that happened under his watch, this is not the only thing having to do with the pandemic that happened under your watch, buddy. Whether you were actually watching or not, a lot of bad stuff happened. As you pointed out, 250,000 people already have died. Maybe 100,000 more will die between now and when you're finally kicked out of the White House. All of that also happened under your watch. And I have a feeling that whether the American people in the end credit him or Joe Biden, or I would argue maybe the scientists the most with getting the vaccine, I think history will remember his effect on the pandemic pretty clearly.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.